Hi guys, it's Sophie. So I'm back. I've had a little bit of a break and I'm ready and raring to go. I had to set up my camera, my proper camera, and I forgot that I did a wedding. I did some wedding photography for a family member. I didn't do it properly and it's completely dead. So we are here. I thought I'd do a bit of a mix of a video today, part catch up, part really late August wrap up, just because I have been gone for I think like 3 weeks now. It hasn't felt like 3 weeks, it's gone by in like a flash. But yeah, I just thought I'd update you guys on what I'm up to first. So first thing first is that Tom and I got married. We've got our little proper rings on now. And it was lovely and wonderful and everything we'd hoped for. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have already seen like some sneaky honeymoon pictures. If you don't follow me there, it's probably worth following me there, just because I tend to post like some stuff there too. My new name is Sophie Islington and that's what my channel's going to be called. So that's like one of the first catch-up things I wanted to share, is that my channel is no longer going to be Portal the Pages. I've had that channel name for I think 7 years now. And obviously I talk mostly about books, but I like it. I like what we're all doing here on BookTube and changing to our names as we go. So that's what the channel's going to be called from here on in. The other thing that if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a story I posted, and I wanted to like finish that story up here, which is basically Tom and I had the biggest drama before we got married, in that his ward had a COVID outbreak. We had to go our own ways and not see one another and go to different places so that I didn't catch it off him. So like, just briefly, in case anyone's anxious that we were like breaking any rules, he had contact with COVID positive people at work, but I hadn't seen him, so I had no contact with anyone, but went and did a PCR anyway, went and literally sat in a room for 3 days with a mask on at my mum's house. I was fine, Tom was fine, neither of us had it, but just in case anyone was worrying, it was fine. Tom even got his shifts moved around, so we had a few days before the wedding, which was so nice just to be together and finish all the fiddly prep and stuff, and it all worked out okay. Then afterwards we went to Snowdonia for 5 days. We loved it. We did Snowdon, it was fab. We miss it a lot, and we are definitely going to do more walks closer to home, even if the scenery is not quite as perfect. But it was just lovely. So in short, I've had a really good break, and I haven't read much in August. I've not read that much in September, mostly because weddings are busy, like, and the last little bit of prep was super busy. But yeah, I think those are like my main updates for now. I'm gonna vlog straight after this one, so you can like follow me around and see what else is going on in my life. But like major updates, channel updates, everything, I think that's it. So I'm gonna show you the books I have. I'm gonna quickly run through some that you'll have heard me talk about before. My last vlog was me reading 3 500-page plus books in a vlog, so I'll really quickly just show you what they were. If you want more details on what I thought, there's plenty in that video. So I read From the Tree by Andrew Solomon. This is a long beefy book looking at children who are different from their parents and the ways that they interact with the world. It's mostly to do with disability. There's a few oddballs in there about like crime, about like being transgender, about being a child of rape, but it is a fairly varied and compassionate view at difference in children. Then I have Neuro Tribes by Steve Silverman, which looks at autism. It is sort of a little bit of a history of autism, a little bit of case studies of autism, and I really enjoyed this one too. Then I have Empire of Pain, which I'm pretty sure, but it's going back a while, was my third big book. Just in case it wasn't, and this is another like 500-page plus one I've read. Empire of Pain looks at the Sackler family and their legacy on the OxyContin addiction that fed in from their aggressive marketing campaigns and general shit stuff that they did. It is really interesting. I'd not actually heard much about the Sacklers before, and I think it is definitely one that will make you feel very skeptical of the pharmaceutical industry, as in like big pharma rather than like go to your pharmacist, like go to your local pharmacist. But yeah, it is just looking at like the greed and human loss involved in drug production, and this is a specific look at one family rather than a wider piece. But their impact's huge, so I understand why. That one is Empire of Pain. Then on to more non-fiction. I think I spoke about this one in the vlog too. This is Pop Song by Larissa Pham. I enjoyed the beginning of this book when I paid more attention to it, and it was one I underlined, which normally shows I'm really enjoying it. There's little bits of underlining there. My head was a little bit all over the place. This happened just before Tom and I were like separated, and I just didn't really know what was going on in my head. So I definitely felt like this got a short shift from me because I don't remember the latter stories. Like, I took my pen around with me and then I kind of just read like in between the other stuff, and I don't think it's sunk in as well. It is a collection of essays, all kinds of stuff really. I mean, it's listed as art and intimacy, and it is kind of looking at, I think, quite a personal story of a relationship through the lens of different artists that she encounters, and art that she interacts with in the world. I really think it was a me problem, not a book problem, because if it was when I started underlining, I was probably going to keep doing it if my head is in the right place. Then I Contain Multitudes. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this one in the vlog briefly. This one looks at all of the little bugs and things that live inside us, mostly in our intestines, and the ways in which we are kind of codependent on them existing within us. It is very readable. I don't think there's too much challenge in here, but it was interesting kind of science writing. There's a few this is the bit I always like, there's a few like little pictures in the middle. I love a good science book that also has pictures, and whilst I'm most interested in the human element of it, it also has a lot of animal biology and sort of understanding the nature between microbes and the larger beings, which are the ecosystem. Yeah, it was enjoyable, but it's not my favourite science. Like, I didn't have enough threat. I like a bit of threat, but I did like it. Then I have The Vaccine Race, which is by Meredith Wadman. This is looking at the rubella vaccine and the development of rubella. I really like this actually. We look a lot about one particular scientist who's developing a cell line and the ethics around that, how the cells are like intrinsic to the development of vaccines, and it's finally pushed me to start reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Sacks, which I actually just started last night, which is also about like cell biology but also the story of Henrietta Lacks. This one is definitely looking at obviously a few stories woven in, a few kind of key players who had the politics and the renown and fought between one another for this kind of prize, but the impact it then had on how we treat disease, how we develop vaccines today. Yeah, really like this one. I Contain Multitudes was a little forgettable, but this one was just had a little bit of spice, so I would definitely recommend The Vaccine Race. Then we have a COVID one, so if you don't want the COVID stuff, this one was not for you. This is Spike, the Inside Story, which looks at the UK's response to coronavirus. It is very much like an insider's view. We're looking at people from Sage, we're getting bits from quotes from Dominic Cummings throughout. And I love this. I had a long conversation with my mum when I was staying with her when eventually I was allowed out, went on a nice walk, and I was just talking to her about this book, and both of our jobs through the whole period have involved dealing with both small and big P political matters to help try and do what we can for COVID, and I just found this one really interesting. If you're ready to read about that and it's not going to make you so angry you can't function, I think Spike is a valuable book that maybe might make sense of some of the stuff that you think, why were they doing that, and you can see the kind of points at which different people made decisions that then had all the impacts that we all know about. Yeah, it's just a COVID book, so if you don't want to do that yet, fair enough, but I do think it was good. Then I have just 3 fiction, the first of which is a short story collection, Objects of Desire by Claire Sesnonovich, I think. These short stories I really liked when I read them. I feel like they're beautifully put together. When I was reading them, one of the things I thought was you could teach a short story workshop off how the stories are written. They just all felt very direct and real, but also just some of the beginnings to them, the first words, Okay, that was just a random one I opened to. It's security questions, but the start says, on days when she's unproductive, Georgia likes to imagine she's pregnant. That way she'd be accomplishing something. Like, they just drag you in and pull you in. However, I didn't remember a lot of them. Again, this was one I read in like wedding isolation, which might have contributed towards it. I was also finishing up a really busy work week. But I know I like them and I know they're good stories, but I also can't remember them. So that's one of those reviews where I'm like, take what you will from that. I'm seeing a pillow to sit on. My back is not used to supporting me in this position for so long. The next one I read was Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. This looks at an anxious lesbian agnostic woman who is obsessed with death, taking a job in a Catholic church as a like receptionist slash kind of like an IT social media manager. And it was hilarious. It was really sad, but it was mostly funny. I read loads of this out to Tom, to his like great annoyance. He hates it when I read books out to him because I'd just sit there laughing and I'd read them to him because they were just so funny. It is very dark, like there's a lot of like darkness to the book, but I really liked that dark humour. It feels very like millennial woe, maybe even like Gen Z woe, I don't know, but very like, it's funny because if you can kind of relate to it, you're like, oh yeah, I understand, you're in A&E at 3 a.m. having a panic attack for the like millionth time. That could equally be read as really sad, but I think it's intended to be very funny. And I certainly found it very funny indeed. So I did really like this one. It was one of the darker, light-hearted books I've read in a long time. The last one I really loved as well is Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. I can't remember where I heard about this one, maybe on what page you on. Yeah, this is a book about a mother who believes she's turning into a dog, and it is just like this rage-filled portrait of people unsettled by the ideas of like modern feminism and like maternalism, if that's a thing, like the expectations of mothers, and she's just like rattling out of her own head. It's brilliant. I thought it was like very, very much reminded me of a Tessa Moshfegh in terms of like the anger of women kind of coming through so strongly. But I really loved it. If you haven't picked this one up yet or haven't heard of it, it was funny, it was odd, it was like horrific in points, and it was just very relatable too. So those were the 10 books I read in August, and there's a couple updates from me and my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. As I said, I'm going to start a vlog now. Don't know how long it'll go on for, maybe like till the weekend. But I miss talking to you all. I really did. Like, Tom was like, oh, take your camera, and I did take my camera with us on honeymoon, and I was like, it's honeymoon, I shouldn't vlog, so I didn't vlog, but I missed you. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna look forward to sharing a little bit of life over the next few days with you guys, and then the September wrap will be here in a minute. But yeah, hopefully you're all well, you've looked after yourselves while I'm away. Let me know what you've been up to for the past couple of weeks. Have you done anything fun? And I'll see you guys soon in my next video. Look after yourselves until then. Bye.